Welcome to another episode of the Virginia Investor Podcast. Today's guest is a good friend of mine, Carlos Salazar. Welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to learn more about your story and your journey. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it, Steven. Thank you.
I'm fired up, man. I think this is a long time coming having you on here. I've known you for years. Completely awesome, dude. Good friend. I have not ever had an opportunity to sit down and be like, tell me your story, right? And I just know you're successful. You've done a lot of different things. You're getting into business. You're deep into real estate. You have a great network of people around you. I can't wait to learn more. I want to start by learning, where were you born? What was your childhood like?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Steven. It's funny how it comes full circle because you used to host us when me and a couple buddies used to have a podcast in your office, and now it's kind of come full circle. So just wanted to thank you. Where was I born? Who am I? I was born in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Back in 1987.
Nice,
you know,
man.
when times were different. But 1987, I was born in D.C. to obviously my mom and dad.
Yeah. What
But
did
I
they do
grew
for a
up there.
living?
What did they do for a living? So my dad did concrete work.
Okay.
So he was a foreman, but he pretty much did concrete his entire life. He's retired now. And then my mom cleaned houses.
Okay.
So very typical story for a lot of minorities. First generation here, all that kind of stuff. So cleaned houses and construction.
What landed them in D.C.? How did they get there?
Interesting story, actually. So my dad left El Salvador.
Okay.
Kind of by force by his parents, because he had impregnated a girl in El Salvador. And then they were like, look, you got to make a living for this kid. So they sent him to Maryland.
Interesting.
Family in Maryland.
Okay.
So everything was good, and D.C. And then my mom went to California to live with an aunt. Crazy story. I'll touch on a little bit of it, but basically she was young. Her baby father, I guess, was crazy, was threatening to kill my mom, whatever. So she left. She fled the country without a kid. She left the country. So both of them left essentially with a kid behind in El Salvador, which then became a common story for both of them. But my mom ended up staying with an aunt who happened to be friends with somebody my dad knew. And my dad would call his aunt in California, and then my mom answered. And they started, it was like a pen pal phone thing across the country. My mom flew to D.C. They met, and then she was like, you know what? Screw it. Mind you, they both had kids, right?
Yeah.
They both had a situationship back home. But they're still together. They've been together for, I guess, 40 years now.
That's incredible.
40 some years. Yeah.
I don't know why I asked that question, but I figured there was some story behind it.
Yeah, it's a crazy story for sure.
That's awesome. So that shed some light on your parents and, who you grew up with too.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What was growing up like in D.C.? Were you more geared towards academics or sports or neither? What was your childhood like?
So I didn't grow up in necessarily the best part of town in Maryland. It was in Maryland, but it was 3 blocks from D.C. I didn't grow up in the best parts. I mean, I got robbed at gunpoint for jackets and my bicycle and stuff like that. Often.
At what age? Roughly.
The youngest was 6.
So it's happened multiple times.
Yeah, it's happened multiple times.
So what was your, did you just think that was normal? Or
Yeah.
What did your parents say? Oh, it happened again? Are you all right? Cool.
Yeah.
Come inside and have dinner?
Yeah. The most vivid memory was I remember a car driving by. I was cleaning out my dad's car, and I felt like something was weird. He was changing the oil for a different car. It was during the day. He was changing the oil for a different car in our driveway, and then they come up on me, and they steal my jacket off my back.
Just your jacket?
Just my jacket. Gunpoint. Took my jacket. My mom was cleaning the bathroom upstairs. She saw it all happen. She freaked out, didn't say anything. And then once they left, she was like, Carlos, you got to go get your jacket. I'm like, Mom, they have a gun. We're good. We're good.
She's more concerned with the jacket.
Yeah. But that happened quite a few times. It was an unusual upbringing, I guess I would say, compared to most people. But my schooling was never focused on school. It was focused on kind of survival. You had to just get through.
Right.
And I joke a lot with friends, especially family, because they knew where I grew up, that I didn't graduate high school because of my academics. I graduated high school because of my ability to build relationships with my teachers
100%.
and then get through. And they'd be like, Carlos is a nice guy. And they just put me through. Right. So that's what kind of got me through. Now, looking back, I didn't have the right foundation for schooling, but I would say that I had enough of the academic smarts or street smarts or whatever that I later in college found out that I was like, okay, I'm not dumb. Like I have something there. It's easy to learn. I'm really curious. I really like it. And then it later transitioned into like me acquiring skills quickly and me being really curious about stuff and interested in stuff. So it evolved. But if I would have predicted like what my childhood would have been like, what my future would have been like in childhood, it wouldn't be this for sure.
Do you think like those experiences, are you able to look back at those and have different perspectives now and be able to handle kind of odder situations with more like in a more calm way, do you think, because you were brought up in that environment? Like, is it less of a big deal when things are very stressful or somewhat dangerous or something like that?
Yeah, for sure. Like, these are first world problems. Everything that I've ever seen as an adult has all been first world problems. None of it has been survival.
Right.
Like when I was a kid,
Right.
right? So all of this is just like, oh, okay, it's a check that I have to write, or it's an argument that we just need to de-escalate and have the conversation. Let's be adults about it. But it's never like life-threatening.
Yeah.
And because it's not life-threatening, I take it seriously, but it's never like...
It's interesting. You know, a lot of people would use that as an excuse. I make blanket statements like that and say a lot of people, and I don't, you know, there's no way of telling how many, but I would say some people would use that as an excuse to not be successful, as like, you know, all these things happened to me when I was a child, I was raised this way or whatever, and now I'm going to become a part of this, or, you know, I was fighting to survive my childhood through like these kind of unique scenarios. And so either I'm just going to join in, and that's like what kind of culture I was brought up in and what I'm going to conform to, or just some sort of excuses or some sort of environment that doesn't allow you to get out. Why do you think you're able to see it as perspective and be like, okay, cool, like I was able to go through that. Now that helps me understand perspective now, so nothing's really that bad.
I don't know. I don't think I've gotten that far in therapy yet to like really have uncovered that. I do look at the support. I had phenomenal parents. Both of them are still together. Both of them are around. Both of them are very supportive. I mean, they definitely think I'm crazy because of how much debt we have and all that, right? We're in real estate. So
it's
like,
good debt.
yeah, I'm like, it's good debt. They're like, it's debt, right?
Yeah.
But they've been incredibly supportive. So no matter what the upbringing was, so I look at it as like nature versus nurture. Like nature would have had me be in a different place, but the nurture within my parents really is what like helped keep me together and keep me sane and with a positive perspective on things. I'm going to say I joke a lot because I do reflect a lot on my past. I do reflect on like my present and whatnot. But I do joke around a lot that if I had grown up in a different era and a different place, I'd probably be numb to a lot of things, and I would just be like a hoodlum. Like, like I'd be the guy at the door dressed in all black with a big gun, like, you know.
Yeah, that's what I feel like the path, like many people could easily take growing up in that environment. It's a great excuse to go that route, you know, and then.
It's easy.
I mean, it's the easiest route, right? And then, well, you could argue that it makes the rest of your life significantly harder, but it's the easiest immediate route to go.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess thanks to your parents and their support and kind of looking out for you, making sure you stayed on track, or, you know, were taken care of to a certain extent to get through that, you had likely a different mentality or attitude on that situation.
Sorry, I'll add a little piece that I feel like adds a little bit more color. I feel like for me it was a defining moment where it was like this way or that way, right? So like I was telling you, I just kind of like skipped through high school. I was nice to people, or nice to the teachers. I knew how to like, you know, bring them a gift card, whatever, in order to make things work. Once I got out of high school, my high school didn't have a whole, like a lot of high schools here, a lot of great high schools are like, where is everybody going to college, right? And the majority, like everybody has a place that they're signing to. My school was not that, right? Like there was maybe 2 universities, some community colleges, and then the majority of people were not going to high school. Right? Sorry, not going to college or community college. That was my school. Right? Like we have metal detectors and all that at our school. So I decided that I wanted to go to like I was like, I'm gonna try something. So I didn't go to community college in the county where I went to school. Right? So I grew up in PG County. I didn't go to PG Community College. I went to another college somewhere else. And that was by choice. Like I was going to pay double or triple the tuition to go to a community college elsewhere. I went there, and during my first semester, I was taking English, and it was remedial English. It wasn't 101. It was like 003 or something, right? So I took that English class, and in that moment, it was towards the end of the semester, and my teacher set me aside and was like, hey, Carlos, like, you read at a 3rd grade level. Like, you can't really write I'm not sure college is going to be the thing for you, but I'm here to support you while you're here at community college. But, I understand if you don't go beyond that, but I'm here. During your 2 years here, I'll be here for you. At that moment, it was weird because at that moment, I was really into the gym. You can't tell now, but I was really into the gym then. But I went to the gym after school, and I just thought to myself, like, this is the moment where people will tell you something, and it's your opinion to either accept it or deny it and create your own reality, right? Now, I was 18, 19 years old at the time, right? But I remember seeing that moment. Because it was a treadmill, and there was a mirror in front of it. It was a huge mirror in front of me. It was a gym, and then a big mirror to the left of me. So all I saw was me, myself, my thoughts, and music. Like, that was it. And at that moment, I was like, well, I either accept that or it's not going to be me. Right. And that's when I completely switched everything around. And it was like a dark moment for like 2-3 months, right? It was just like, do I accept it? Do I not? And it was just like a lot of back and forth. But obviously I didn't. So I went to university. I got a second degree. Like I ended up like continuing on. But there's still a lot of insecurities there of like who I was back then. But that was like a super defining moment for me at that time.
That's incredible. I think at some point in most people's lives, there's a time where you have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. You keep going down the same path or a different path. And unfortunately, I think many people don't recognize that it's that decision point.
Yeah.
And I don't think they give themselves the opportunity to make the decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think everyone has the opportunity. I think some people like oversee it, meaning like miss out on it, like don't recognize the opportunity, the chance that's right in front of them to go a different direction. But the cool thing about at least many people in this country, like we get to decide what we want to do and how hard we work for it and what decisions we make, right?
Yeah.
And so what actions, I'm curious, at that age, and you've done this reflection, what actions did you take after that reflection to get on a different path? Like, did you start studying a lot and start reading, or were you just like determined, no, I'm going to do better in school, or what? Like, what did that look like?
So at that point, I hadn't really refined my studying skills and like whatever. And I've never been like the smartest kid, right? So at that point, I knew that, I don't know. There's a quote, it's like no baby is born knowing how to roof, or no baby is born knowing how to fish, or like whatever, right? So I knew that I had to put in an unreasonable amount of effort in order to just even catch up to my counterparts, let alone try to exceed them and try to be something of myself, right? So if I was going to prove something to myself, not only did I have to meet, but I had to exceed. Right. So at that point, I still had a job, but I was nonstop with school stuff. Yeah. So I was relentless. I mean, I wasn't taking a lot. I think I was taking like 9 or 12 credits, which is like almost like part-time school, but I was doing like graduate level effort, if you will, to like try to catch up. And I never really got to like 20 credits or anything like that. So the max I really did was like 15 credits, but I was always putting in extra effort to the point that I started really refining how I learned. What do I listen to? How am I learning? How do I re-quiz myself? It's just like everything, right? Yeah. Like you get much more efficient as you do it more and more. But I just knew that I had a short window. I wasn't going to be in college for 10 years. I only had a little bit of time, so I needed to perfect that, and that skill was going to like go through. So it was just effort. It was a crazy amount of effort. It was sleep, work, school. Like that was it. School.
Yeah, I was going to ask, and you might not have because it was just sleep, work, and school. Did you surround yourself with different people, or put yourself in like? Were you aware that like the people around you could influence you positively, or I don't know at the time, like podcasts probably weren't like super big, but like YouTube or the internet, like were you jumping into that stuff to try to learn outside of your own head?
It's funny you asked that. I would say no. I didn't feel like it in the moment, but what I will say is that reflecting back, I was just like open to everybody. Before, it was just like I was a cool kid, right? Where I grew up, whatever. Like that's part of the way that you survived. Is just like be a cool kid. Don't get picked on. In that moment, it was just being accepting of others and what they had to give, what they had to offer, who was in my class, who was actually excelling, what are they doing, befriending them. And it just like almost like mimicking, like mirroring their actions and befriending them. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to stay in that circle, I need to keep up with them. So I need to do more effort than them. Right.
And look at what you're doing now. Like you're in amazing real estate circles. and you're mimicking to some degree, like you're creating your own path, but like to some degree you're learning what they're doing, and you guys are working, sharing ideas and working together to get to the next level just constantly.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool that you kind of made that decision and found that on your own, at least how it sounds, in college, when like, hey, you had a goal and a purpose, and you were driven and passionate about getting somewhere, and you found a way to do it by like learning from other people and being like, that takes a level of humility to not be, you probably were humbled by that teacher's statement. A lot of people would reject that and be like, no, I'm the best, I'm the smartest, I'm the toughest, I'm the whatever, but you're like, I'm not. Let me learn from these people who are, whatever, quote unquote, like smarter or whatever, just because they've got a different start on it or whatever, So you end up going to a 4-year school or 2-year, but finishing your degree.
Yeah. So did 2-year, didn't get a degree on purpose. Okay. I didn't want to hit a checkpoint. Right. So I just kind of got the credits enough to transfer. Then I went to a 4-year and then finished my 4-year there.
Okay.
It was all local, so it was all like kind of in state.
Got it.
Pretty close to me.
And still the same drive and passion at that 4-year school? Like still just getting after it academically, like trying to get good grades and stuff? Or were there any distractions, or did you start to focus on any ambitions after school? Like were you thinking about investing or finance or anything, or just like what kind of job can you get afterwards?
I was still lost. It was almost like my sole focus. It's funny, my 10-year-old daughter is like already thinking about high schools and colleges, right? Like, is it easy to get into a top 3 law school? I'm like, no, because it's a top 3 law school. And I'm like, how do you even know what a top 3 law school is, right? Yeah. So like, she's in 4th grade thinking about that.
Insane. Yeah.
I was in junior college, not even sure what I was going to pursue afterwards, right? So when I transferred into the 4-year degree school, honestly, like I hadn't even picked my career really. Mm-hmm. So at my high school, like I said, there was very limited options in terms of universities. Like very little people like actually did anything. So the few options were nursing, accounting, or criminal justice. Like those were like hey, help people, you're good with numbers, and like you be service of other people, but you're more active and rambunctious or whatever. So like there was like a really easy divide. Those were the 3 options that we were kind of presented. When I told that to my parents, my dad, because of the Civil War in El Salvador, and part of the reason why they left back in the 80s, he was like, it'd be cool if you were a cop. And I was like, cool, I guess I'm going to be a cop. And that's what I'm going to go do. So I started my journey in criminal justice.
Interesting.
And I had no choosing. I didn't care. I didn't like, my purpose was just to get through college and get a degree, make my parents proud. So it was kind of like that was going to be the consequence of me just going through it. So I wasn't really like hyper motivated. Money, all I cared about was just like having a cool car and like wearing expensive clothes. Like that was the thing. I wasn't hyper focused. I was getting a lot better at school. So that was becoming a lot easier. It was the first time that I was starting to find a community. Yeah. So first it was kind of a forced choice because of school and academics. Then I joined a fraternity in the 4-year. And then I started finding other guys that were like hyper focused. Some of them were really into money. Some were really into school. Some were really into whatever, working out, whatever it was. And then I started finding myself getting associated with them. And I don't know, it felt like it was like a reset. It was like a new, how do I put it? It was almost like I had hit a plateau, but then because of that 4-year degree and a new group of guys, it was like, bro, you're at the bottom. Like you're another small fish.
Up another level.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, so some of the brothers in the fraternity are lawyers or work for senators or own their own businesses or whatever. So it's just like a big assortment. So it became a wide open field of like, oh shit. Okay. So I haven't even really started playing the game yet. Right. Yeah. So I really wasn't sure. I just went, pursued it, got my degree. And I don't know. I feel like immediately after that, I was kind of at a loss because I met Rosia. I met my wife while I was in college. And she was still in school. So it was like my main focus wasn't necessarily getting a job. It was just like any job.
Right.
It didn't even have to be my degree in my field. And we got married, and I just kind of focused on that for a few years. So, no, I was just kind of like, all right, cool. I did the thing. I accomplished the goal, kind of, which was like get through college. I'm not going to be just like everybody else. Now I have a decent job, and my parents are proud enough because I got a degree.
Were you a cop?
No.
Oh.
No.
What'd you do out of college?
So a funny story is when I was in community college, not community college, when I was in the university, Terps, by the way, UMD. So I started dating. I had a girlfriend, then I had to spend money. And my god sister was like, hey, I work at a beauty salon. Like, you can come work here. I was like, a beauty salon? Like, I'm a dude. Like, she's like, no, it's good money, and there's a bunch of girls. I'm like, all right, well, I got a girlfriend, but sure. Right. Free massages. I can get my girlfriend free stuff for her. For sure. I'm in, right? So I say that story because it was in D.C. It was really easy to commute, and they had a branch here in Richmond. Yeah. So I just ended up once I graduated, I moved down here to Richmond and got a job here. To Richmond. That and Rocio was finishing up school, so she had one last year in school.
But was she from here outside of, like, you met her at school, but that's in Maryland, right?
No, so she went to VCU.
Okay.
Yeah. So she lived in Maryland.
Okay.
But she went to VCU.
Got it.
She was in a sorority, I was in a fraternity, and that's how kind of we met.
Cool. So you had that branch brought you down here, and you could have that job down in Richmond. Yeah. But then she's also at VCU.
Correct. That makes sense. Yeah. And I can give you a fun story there. I had a car. She didn't have a car because she lived on campus. Mm-hmm. Once we got married, I gave her my car, and I bought a scooter. So imagine, for those that are local to Richmond, I would ride from VCU, because it was like on campus basically where we lived, to Short Pump.
Yeah.
In like a 49cc.
Were you jacked? Were you still like working out?
Not so much, but like I had to be like suited up and stuff.
Like,
oh yeah.
So I'm just trying to picture like just Jack Carlos like on a scooter with his riding from VCU to Short Pump. That's a long ride.
On Broad. I tried the highway, and I got too scared, so I just did Broad.
What time frame was this, like year-wise?
I graduated in 10, so it's probably like 11 to like 13 or something.
Yeah, I was probably like honking at you going down.
Probably. On your motorcycle. Yeah. You had a real bike. I had a scooter.
You know, one of the frustrating things when you're riding a motorcycle is when, we have this motorcycle wave, right? You do basically two fingers down to the left. And when you get, you see this one headlight, you get closer and closer, and you start throwing the wave, and then you realize it's a scooter, and you're like, dude, and you want to pull it back, But anyway.
You got tricked.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's funny. All right. So you're working your job. Is still any ambition here on like investing in finance, or is it still like you're getting paid, you're getting a paycheck, you're paying your bills, and yeah, you're curious as to how you can make more money like any human, but like, were you open to this whole world of like investing in finance and financial freedom or anything like that at this point?
A tad bit. I was introduced to it in 2009 by my dad. So my dad...
Really?
Yeah. So my dad is the one who got... Essentially, this whole thing started. It's my dad and my uncle got me into real estate. And my godfather. I should include them three. No. My dad has rentals, but they're all fully paid off.
Oh, of course.
Like, he's old school.
Oh, of course.
And then my uncle buys a ton of stuff in Baltimore, like entire blocks, warehouses, restaurants. Like, he owns a ton in Baltimore.
Did you see this growing up? Like, did you see them owning rentals growing up?
Yeah.
Oh, so was that an influence like early on?
No.
Or you just didn't think any? Were you trying to survive over here?
I was trying to survive, but I was also first generation here. I'm gonna be a white collar guy. Like, I'm gonna be in a C-suite. Yeah. I'm gonna be in a corner. And like, I'll be stroking checks, and I'm flying with my family to vacation. Like, that was the goal. That was the objective. For me, a real estate investor was like some grungy, dirty. Yeah, like you're going out there and you're finding a place, you're fixing it up, and you're renting it out. And they might pay, they may not. They may pay or they may not pay. Like, your life was kind of on it. So like, that's how I saw it from a distance.
Yep.
And then I also had a godfather who was a big influence on me too, but he did more construction stuff. So that's where I learned a lot of my construction stuff. But like, all of them were blue collar guys, right? My dad was in concrete and he had some rentals. My uncle, he owned the restaurants and a concrete company also. It was small, but like a concrete company, and like, he'd buy townhomes completely disheveled, entire blocks, completely disheveled, and like start renovating them one by one and like rent them out to his employees.
Interesting.
So like, I saw that and I was just like, you guys are blue collar guys. Like, I'm not going to be a blue collar guy. I'm going to be a white collar guy. And like, that was just my mindset going in, because I don't know if I was trying to like separate myself from who I was going to be, right, in that moment, to who, like, the new image I wanted to create for myself. But obviously that's not how it worked. I kind of like came back, but did it differently, right? But yeah, so I saw them doing all that while I was growing up. But in 2009, my dad like brought up an opportunity, and he was like, "Hey, how about we do this together?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do this together." Yeah. I didn't really care, right? So I was still in college. Right. Yeah, let's do this together, right? So I did a lot of like the conversations between the agent and my dad, and I would help him on the weekends occasionally. And I was part of the deal, and I didn't really see it in the moment, but many years later, he was like, "Oh, by the way, this thing cash flows this, and like we almost have this thing paid off." Wow. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." Yeah. And like, in conversation, it's one thing, but like once you start seeing the numbers, it's a completely different thing. And I don't think it really hit me until I became an accountant.
Interesting.
So I got a second degree in accounting. And I started doing high net worth individuals, and I started seeing what my dad was doing, and like I started seeing the numbers of it.
You're doing like tax prep, stuff
yeah.
Like that. So you're seeing the results of like, okay,
so I started seeing like business owners do it, and I started noticing that a lot of the people that, because it was definitely separate. So it was like the majority of people were like W-2s, and high net worth individuals and business owners were a completely different subgroup.
Man, what a great experience to
yeah. I mean, it was a clear delineation of like, these are the activities these people do, and these are the activities that other people don't do. And like, that's when it started coming together for me. And I started connecting dots and having conversations with my dad about it.
That is awesome. It's such a good experience. And it's weird how, like, I don't know, again, like a lot of people see that in front of them, and they have that decision to make, like, oh, this is a very clear sign of what path, and I could choose this path or that path.
Yeah.
I interviewed someone who was a private banker at one point. They're now like a wealth advisor, but when he was doing private banking, it was similar, where like he would do private banking for high net worth individuals. And part of his job was to understand what their goals and strategies were and what they were doing and stuff. And he saw like real estate just constantly in play with the high net worth individuals and business ownership and stuff like that. And that really like opened his eyes into like how to get to that stage. So you saw it through accounting. So you went back and got another degree.
I went back. Yeah.
That's
I had
awesome.
2 kids. I had 2 kids and went back to school.
Wow.
Because I was like, I can't.
What was the gap between like coming to Richmond and then when you went back to school?
So we were in Richmond probably I graduated in 10. So I think we moved down in 10. And I think we moved back in like 12 or 13. So it wasn't long that I was here in Richmond.
When she got
2-3 years. Yeah. So like she got out, and then we stuck around for a year or 2. And we were like, it's kind of slow. We're both from DC, like basically DC. Yeah. We're just like, it's faster pace. There's more career opportunities up there. We're just going to go back. Yep. Family's up there. Everybody's there. So we moved back, and then we start working there. And I'm bumbling around. I'm doing sales. I'm doing door-to-door stuff. I'm just bouncing. I have, again, no objective. Like, I met my goal, which was a degree. Right. And I'm just, like, bouncing around. Right. Then I think what happens to most of us men, like, we're teenage boys, basically, until we have our first kid. Sometimes marriage happens, right? So marriage and then kids, or kids, marriage, whatever. But once the kids come around, reality starts to hit of, like, all right, this isn't, like, I have to provide. Like I have to be a good example for my kids, whatever. So then that's when it kind of switched for me, and I was like, all right, now I need to do something. Now, that does not go without saying that Rocio had a lot to do with that.
For sure.
Like she would see me, and she'd see me in the dumps, and like, you have so much more potential, whatever. Like she's gonna be a common theme throughout the entire thing of like me being where I am, for sure. She's the one that encouraged me. It was like, you need to go back to school. You're really good at numbers. You're really good at process, like deconstructing things and figuring them out and putting them back together in a better way, just even thought process wise. So she suggested that I go back to school for accounting and engineering. So she was like, try a class for each one and then see which one you like and just go for it. Now, my youngest was like, I guess she was 2. Yeah, my youngest was 2 at the time. And my oldest my youngest had just been born. My oldest was 2 at the time. Right. And I was like, all right, cool. And fortunately, we were in a decent enough financial spot where I could go to school full time and take care of the girls, and then Rocio was the only one who worked. Yeah. But yeah, I went back to school, took one accounting class, never took an engineering class. I wonder if I would have been okay with that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd be here, right? Because I wouldn't have seen those numbers. I wouldn't have seen. So it probably would have been a different.
There's still some, like, you look at the Jim Ingersolls, and I think I can't remember.
Rich is also an engineer.
Rich, and then another Isaac McGill. I interviewed him. His episode came out this week, but interviewed Isaac. He was a mechanical engineer, and he's building houses now and stuff. So there's something to say about that too. But it's funny, we use the term force appreciation, and that's what I think of when Rocio was like, "Hey, you can go back to school for accounting or engineering."
Yeah.
She's like force appreciating Carlos.
Yeah.
But man, what a partner to have, because my wife does that to me all the time. It's not just Carlos, right? Like my wife is always like just helping me be better every day in business and make better decisions and be healthier and stuff. Like, she is constantly force appreciating me.
Yeah.
Cool. So you get your degree, and then once you get out, like when does real estate really just, like, when are you like, man, this is actually something I want to do? Is it when you saw those numbers on that first deal that you worked on with your father?
So it really took off in 2019.
Oh, hold on. Let me ask. Sorry. You're back up in Maryland. Richmond became cool, in my opinion, my personal opinion, in like 2015, 2016-ish. The whole Scott's Addition started getting built out, like all these things, all the restaurants and festivals and everything like that. Richmond started to change.
Yeah.
What brought you back to Richmond, and what time frame was that? And then, like, what was the story behind getting back down here?
So Rocio's working for Greystar, which is a large national or international property management company. So she worked with them for almost like 6 years or something like that. She had moved her way up. She had done phenomenal. She was a community manager. She was starting to sit at tables where they were starting to have like visionary conversations, right? In 2018 or 19, they must have been seeing the same thing that you're talking about now, and where Richmond was starting to blow up in 15, 16, 17. Yeah. They had committed and had told the entire team, they had committed that they were going to be spending, if I remember correctly, it was $1 billion on infrastructure and development coming down to Richmond. This was 18. So in 19, Rocio was like, this is what they're talking about where I went to school. Remember where we were there for like 2-3 years? I was like, yeah. She was like, I don't think it's going to be so slow anymore. And I was like, you know what? If we could just get a fraction of a percent of what they're seeing, because we don't have the research development money, right? But like, you just follow the big boys, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what we did. And you know who also came down is Clark Construction.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's who my parents worked for forever.
Oh, cool.
So once we started seeing that pattern, we were like, all right, we need to commit. So in 2019, I was working as a public accountant already at the time, but in 2019, Rocio was like, you have to pick. It's always a why, split, right? This or that. And she was like, you're either going to fully commit and become a partner at the law firm, at the accounting firm, or you need to commit to this investor thing. And mind you, in theory, I had some already, but it was like I wasn't really practicing anything. My dad was doing the stuff. But in 2019 is when I left my job. Mind you, it was right before COVID.
Yeah.
2019, August, I believe it was, I left my job and I committed to real estate investing. It didn't really take off, I would say, for, 18 months or something. It was like a year and a half. Yeah. COVID kind of put dampers on things. Everybody was kind of scared. But 18 months in, I was like, full send.
Okay, so you moved back to Richmond around 2019-ish, in that year?
No, so 2019, for 6 months, I was driving back and forth and sleeping on hardwood floors of my rentals.
Okay, so this is crazy.
Or flips or whatever I was working on.
Yeah, so I remember in 2019 is probably around the time we met. I would assume, it was that year. In my perspective, you already knew so many people. You're already in the in crowds. You were well networked in Richmond. What the heck? How did you establish that in Richmond so quickly? Not just your friends, right? Because you can go out to the bar and make some friends pretty easily. But you had a reputation, and still do a great reputation. I looked at you in 2019 as, holy cow, this is a guy who knows what he's doing, who I need to be around. This is a guy I need to know. And you were new to Richmond, and I would have never had any clue. What sort of tactics and strategies, and I know you don't look at them like that, but what sort of skill sets do you have or traits do you have to allow you to integrate yourself so quickly into that environment and make that big of a wave?
I think it was just being humble, that I didn't know anything and everybody had something to teach me. Whether they were new themselves or they were highly experienced, I was going to pick something up from them. My objective every time that I went to a networking event, and I went to every possible networking event that I could get my hands on, my objective was to show up and see what I could do to connect some sort of dot. How can I provide value to them? What could I learn? What could I take away and apply? And sometimes it was things like, oh yeah, everybody just kind of uses agreeable gray. I was like, all right, I'm using agreeable gray. You know, like it was things like that I would walk away with. And I was like, all right, I'm going to apply, implement. I have a short runway, and I either have to figure this out in a short runway, or I'm going to lose my opportunity. My kids are going to be big, and I'm going to be a failure at this thing, and it's going to be gone. So I did have a sense of urgency of like, learn something, show up at everything, and I have a short window.
Man,
go.
That's incredible.
And it was.
Did you have any value to provide? I mean, like, because you had some investments, like you had some experience. Your father had done it. The others in your family had done it. Did you feel like you had any value to bring, maybe on the construction side of things? Like, did you have any value to bring to the table, or was it just straight humility and like, how can you develop the relationship?
I guess my construction knowledge and experience, I'd never like built anything. Like I worked for my godfather for a few summers, and like he taught me a bunch, and I knew what payrolls, like I knew how to deal with people, because like I'd worked in the field for him, and then I also worked in the office for him. So like I had an idea of how to run a business. And I think that's where I probably had more experience and more chops than like most people. Most people were like, all right, I have some money, or I wholesaled a few deals, and like now they had some money so that they could just like hire a contractor and spend the money, but they didn't know how to like run it efficiently and run it efficiently at scale. And I do think that's probably what gave me some extra lubrication for that slide of just like, all right, so I knew what the construction process was like, and I knew how to skim that. I knew how to like Six Sigma that thing, to like super efficient and do it quickly. And once I figured out this was the thing, I just turned it up at full scale.
And you call it momentum pretty quickly,
I did.
Like, what did that look like? Were you focused on flips, rentals, wholesaling? Like, what did your journey into real estate look like when you were doing it for yourself?
I would say that I started with not an unfair advantage. The time was different, right? It was 2019, 2020. It started where a market was ever going up. COVID was happening, so it was like a crazy positive time. And my wife was working full-time, and she was making a pretty decent income. So my objective for the first 2 years was exclusively buy and hold. So burrs, burr, everything, everything. So I don't think I ever flipped a house for like the first 3 years. Like I just kept everything. Once she left her job, that's when we were like, all right, like we make enough to kind of support ourselves financially with the burr stuff. Because back then, I'm sure you remember, you could burr a house and still pull money out and cash flow. So we kind of had an income with me just like burring stuff. But once she left her job, we had to like substitute that, and we started flipping houses.
Got it.
So we started doing some of that stuff. It was okay. I've never been a really big fan. I always feel like I always kind of like slide back when I do flips. But you know, some of them have great paydays. So we still did them. And then I started finding myself that she started getting her license as an agent. So like it started evolving. It started growing as we started like continuing in the process. But like for the first 2-3 years, it was exclusively buy and holds.
Generally speaking, how are you finding these deals? And then I assume you're using other people's money and then refining with a community banker, DSCR lender, or something like that. But like, how are you sourcing these deals, especially, or did you start sourcing them one way and that has sort of evolved over time? What did that look like?
Yeah, so from then to now, it's completely evolved. So when I first got started, I was starting to use my high school skill set of like my relationship with my teachers and that kind of stuff. I started really exercising and using that and just building relationship with wholesalers. So how do I meet them? What can I get for them? How do I talk to them? Like I was just doing that as much as possible. And I was trying to build genuine good relationships because, you know, if you're in the game, you know that usually the best deals don't ever hit the mass market, don't ever get into a text chain, don't ever get to an email. Like they never get there. They're always kind of internal and they get shared amongst friends kind of. So my objective was just like, how do I befriend these people and genuinely see their growth, my growth? And some of the people that I bought from then, I've partnered with and were in business with for many years, or they're still really good friends of mine. So it was just like a mutual, how do we win-win? But that did evolve. So once the market started changing, I started noticing that there was a bit of a change back in 2023. Wholesaling started coming down. There weren't as many wholesalers. The fees started getting compressed. Just the margins weren't there. So that's when I started to get into a partnership with a good buddy of mine. And we were probably in business for about 2.5 years. And that's how
wholesaling and finding your deals yourself, right?
Yep. Yeah. So a common theme for me throughout my business career has always been lateral integration. I hate depending on someone else to catch the fish and give it to me for me to skin it, feed it, have a restaurant, whatever. If anything, I would just have a fishing yard and we'll go fish. And then, so I kind of brought that in internally. He was getting fed, I was getting fed through assignment fees or whatever, and then stuff that I wanted to keep. So it continued to evolve, and now we still kind of have that branch. Now it's kind of branched out because, and we'll get to this, but now we do on-market and off-market stuff. So it's continued to evolve, and those skill sets just continue to compound and compound and compound.
Yeah, I had coffee with that partner a few weeks ago, and he still speaks amazingly highly of you and that relationship, and he's told me how it shifted a little bit into like on-market stuff as well. So we'll definitely get into that. I think a good, interesting question that I usually ask when people bring up partnerships is, how do you find a good partner? Like, how do you know someone is good to partner with?
Yeah, I can't say that I have too many, so I can't really attest to like this is the formula. But my really good relationship and partner that you're referring to, he had a partner before me, and that partner ended up kind of going to separate ways, getting a 9-to-5, right? So I knew and that partnership had lasted for like 2 years before that split happened. Right. And that split wasn't because the partnership was weird; it was because the person he was dating, their parents wanted him to get a real job, whatever, right? Nice. So like I knew that person, my partner, was coming from a partnership mindset, and he never badmouthed his partner. He never disparaged, his partner. So I knew that like whatever the disagreements were going to be, they were going to get resolved. He was never going to badmouth me, whatever. Right. He was putting in his effort. Like they weren't like he was putting in 75% and the other guy was putting 25, and that's why they were splitting up. So when that happened, I saw it as an opportunity because I had already bought multiple deals from him before. I was like, awesome. Dude, what if we just did this thing, right? What if I started funding it and you did your thing, which is get the deals. And I know it gets a little weird. Sometimes you can't assign them, but like I'm a buyer. So I'll just, if the numbers work for me before you make the offer and we can't assign it, I'll just buy it. Right. And we did that for like 2.5 years.
That's some good points. Like you did some deals with them first. And so you get to kind of vet them that way, even if you weren't really actually vetting them at the time. But like, you did some deals with him first, but you also understood that he was in a partnership, and it was a successful partnership, and how he handled that partnership, meaning he already has that partnership mindset. Yeah. Like, so he's always trained up. He's not this guy who's always been doing it by himself, and now he's got to learn how to be in a partnership. That's interesting. Yeah,
because I feel like if you're kind of a solo dolo kind of guy, and then you start looking for partnerships, there's something that's missing. It's either you're humbled and you're like, okay, I need this second set of skill sets because we want to grow something big, or I'm deficient of something, but once I catch up, I'm going to go right back to being solo, right? And I've seen that happen a lot of times where it's like, oh, I'm kind of short on money, so let me partner with people. Right. And then once they get their money up, then they're kind of wanting to be like, all right, man, well, I'm good. Sure. And it's like, all right, well, that's not why I'm getting into a partnership with you. This is a big, like, if we're going to get together, we're going to, because I'm going to put an effort, and I need you to put an effort too.
Right. So you mentioned that your wife now is moving towards, like, she's got her license and stuff like that, and you guys are moving to some on-market opportunities and businesses. So you were able to build this awesome rental portfolio. You did some flips, stuff like that. So you're fully in investing in real estate, and you've done very well the past few years. When your wife decided to move away from her former company and now be more active in investing in real estate as well, how does that work out with your partnership? Like, do you guys have very defined specific roles and responsibilities? Because I assume, I'm just assuming that you guys work closely together in real estate.
We do and we don't. So I will give a straight up thank you to Rich for helping us work through that process. I'm not sure if he's come on the podcast, but he is definitely somebody that's completely changed our trajectory, our business, our everything. And it's because I came into it and he met me solo. Then he started meeting Rocio. We obviously had very different skill sets. He started this thing called Ring Elite, and he would have like weekly meetings, and he started seeing our dynamic a little bit more. So he realized through traction and what's the other, EOS, he started seeing that we had completely different skill sets. One was an integrator, the other one was a visionary, and he started helping us kind of find that. Now we finished doing he gave us homework, we finished doing the homework, and now we've completely separated our responsibilities. There are certain things, and we started this maybe like 3 years ago, where she fully only does certain things, and she can ask me for advisement. She can ask me for, some suggestions. Same thing with me. I have full control. So when we do have conversations, when we do have meetings, it's about overlaps. When we get home, it's like she usually doesn't know everything that's going on my side. It's like 2 different jobs, right? Our offices are right next to each other, but like I have an assistant, she has an assistant. Our assistants talk like whenever there's an overlap. Awesome. But like we've noticed that the more we kind of separate ourselves from like us talking and engaging with the conflicts of a business, because there's always things going on and falling apart and fires and all that. So the more we've separated ourselves from that and given the responsibility to others, it's gotten better and better and better. Yeah. So
that's pretty unique. That's a cool way to set it up. What are her roles and responsibilities, and what are yours? Like, generally speaking, like what type of business is she running and operating, and what is she trying to do, and then what are you focused on?
Yeah. The best way for me to put it is, I'm the hunter and gatherer, and she's the provider. She's the one that skins the fish and like does the whole thing. So I'm the money guy, right? So whether it's the accounting stuff or getting money for projects or going to find projects or sourcing deals. So anything that it's going and grabbing and bringing back to the hut, let's call it, that's me. And then she's the one that makes sure that the systems and operations are sync. So she's the person that's doing the deliverables in a way, right? So I go and I sell the vision, I do the thing, call it, because we do some on-market stuff, I bring in the agents, I sell them the vision, I tell them where we're going, and then she shows them that, look, we do have systems and processes. Awesome. And it's not just this guy on a pedestal selling his vision. It's like we do actually have systems. Same thing with all of our rentals, same thing with our Airbnbs, same thing with everything. Everything that we have, she's put a system, a process in place, and I go out and I feel like I do the fun stuff, and she feels like she does the fun stuff with
that's good.
So it's a good like split between the two.
That's incredible that you can share and sell the vision to these people coming on your team, and then she can deliver on that. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of, usually one is missing, right? Either you can't share or sell it, but you can deliver on it, but no one will ever know. Or you can share and sell it all day long, but you can't deliver on it. But you need both to really be able to grow.
Definitely need both. Yeah.
That's awesome. What has it been like? So now that you're scaling up, like you have all these things going on, which is awesome between you and your wife, and you guys are now building a team. What does that look like now that the business is expanding? Because that sometimes gets a little scary because you can't control everything. You can't see everything. You don't have your hands on like every decision that everyone makes, or at least if you do, you'll be limited to a certain size of growth. So like, how are you and Rocio, how are you guys dealing with that?
I don't know. I was going to ask you that question after the podcast. I don't know. I feel like at least me, not Rocio so much. I feel like I'm still fumbling through that. I have for a very long time had like my hands in everything. Right. I've had control over a lot of things. Rocio too, but I feel like my standards never get met. For her, it's like, all right, they've done 80% of it. Like, it's good, right? And for me, it's like, if you're not going 110%, like, what are you doing? Get out, right? Yeah. So I feel like I always kind of run into that. And I don't know if I've quite figured that growth part out. What I've done recently is, and I'm sure I read this somewhere, but I'm trying to create more distance between myself and the people that I have expectations from, and almost have like a filter person, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
Where I'm like, what the hell? And the filter person's like, hey guys, could you guys reconsider? You know, like,
translate it for you.
Yeah, they're just like Spanish to English translator. They're like just filtering what I like my excitement over the quality and standards, because it's not coming from a negative place. It's just like, I'm not communicating that the right way. Right. Yeah, I'm kind of distancing myself from that. Now, we do have a lot going on. We have a lot of different, call it branches of different businesses. They're all over the place.
What are some of those just at a high level? Like, what kind of stuff are you tackling?
So the best way that I like to describe it is we essentially do everything in real estate except for lending and new construction.
Got it.
So anything you could think of, we do, from acquisitions to renovations to Airbnbs to agency stuff to off-market stuff to pretty much all of it.
Right.
We do.
Yeah.
And we do have different managers for different ones. Now, I call them managers, but they have the majority of the responsibility on those fronts,
Right.
but we're still kind of like running it,
Right.
which is a goal of mine to like start to step back.
Got
But
it.
it's hard when you're like, how do I give away some of these responsibilities and still have them make sure that they have the highest standards at deliverables?
So you, again, I'm kind of envisioning that you and Rocio, different offices, both have assistants. She's got her business, you have your business, and they might be multiple businesses and there's all kinds of hats and stuff. But just to simplify it, she has her deal, you have your deal. But she is the systems and process person. You're the hunter and gatherer. Does she do systems and processes for you?
She does, yeah.
Okay.
And then the way we trade is like I go hunt and gather for her.
Got
So
it. Okay.
like marketing for the on-market and off-market stuff, I get to her.
Right.
All of the rentals that I've gotten or flips or whatever, she sells them for me
Right.
at a full 3% as an agent. So then she gets paid
Right.
off the stuff that I bring. Friends, whatever, like she's still getting paid through that. All the rentals that I've gotten, she gets paid a full property management fee, probably
Yeah. Awesome.
comparable to what you get paid as a fee from other people. So we very much treat it like a business. I
Yeah.
go do my thing, and then she makes sure that she supports my thing
That's
at a
awesome.
fair rate.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it too, because you got to treat it like a business. You
Mm-hmm.
you have to, because the second you start shortchanging like one department or the other, they get
Oh,
lopsided, and like one actually is losing money and you can't realize it. What I did that worked to help, I have a very high standard for myself, an extremely high standard, and I don't meet that standard every day, right? I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm just like some great dude all the time, but like I'm very hard on myself. Like I kind of laugh when people are like, "Well, who holds you accountable?" I'm like, dude. I mean, I had people hold me accountable 100%.
The mirror.
But like, no one will be harder on me than
Yeah.
myself, right? So you look at that and you're like, when you're operating everything, in your head at least, it's going at 100%. Like you're getting an A+ in what you're doing. Like your job sites are perfect. Like all your communications are perfect. You're responsive. Everything is exactly how you want it. And it likely is very close to what you perceive, because you are who you are and you act the way you do and you have the work, the effort that the ethic that you do and stuff like that. So you're likely pretty accurate in that perception. So, and you realize though, in order to grow and to scale, or to have some sort of lifestyle outside of like the hustle, freaking getting after it 80, 100-hour weeks, like unless you want to do that forever, which is cool if you do, but like if you want to eventually like dial that down or get out of it a bit, which not saying you are, I'm just generally speaking. From my experience, I needed to get out of that after 5 years of doing it, and even actually more so in different industries before real estate. I needed to dial it down. I have young kids and stuff, and so how do you keep the culture and the values and the ethics in your company of what you would expect, with you also trying to dial down your involvement to a more reasonable 60 hours a week or something, you know? So I think one of the things that I did was, the most obvious thing is who you hire, right? Like you bring people on with the same passion, the same mindset, the same work ethic and values that you have, regardless of their experience or knowledge at the time. That's what I personally hire for first, is who the person is, not what they know or what it's. Now we could teach property management, right?
Sure.
And so that's step number one. Step number two, though, I think on a broader level is, obviously there's KPIs and measurements. I would study how property management companies operate on a national level. And I look at like 100 different KPIs. And there's studies that associations will do, and different like national property management vendors will do, like maintenance vendors will do national studies on tens of millions of work orders on how property managers perform over those tens of millions of work orders in their system, that use their system, and responsiveness and satisfaction rates and all these different things. And then there's like accounting companies that are like kind of profit. It's literally called Profit Coach is one of them, but like they will help hundreds or thousands of property management companies across the nation on profitability, overhead costs. Like what are the benchmark metrics owner churn, like what are the best, the highest operating companies in the nation? What is the absolute benchmark? So I gather all that data and I set that as the standard at peak. And it sounds crazy, but like the standard at peak is the top 5% of how property management companies are operating across the board, across the company. and that is our KPI. And I look at my team and I tell them that we're not trying to just be average. We have very high standards. We're not in this business just to be a mom and pop. We want to change this industry. We want to raise the bar, set the standard, set a new standard of what happens in property management, set a new experience level in property management for the residents, for the landlords, et cetera. And in order to do that, we have to operate. We can't just operate at an average level. We can't hit the middle of the road bench or stats, right? Yeah. So I have these really high standards for our team. And the thing is I know that like the benchmark for profitability, those companies also probably aren't hitting the benchmarks at other things. They're just really profitable, but they might have high owner churn because they're making so much money. And then the benchmark for churn, like owner churn, how many owners come and go, might be the benchmark, the smallest amount of churn, which is better. They might not be making any money because you charge your client, you do it for free. No one's ever going to leave you, but these are still the benchmarks. And so I look at all of those and put all of them as the KPI. That's what our team is fighting for every day. And our team ends up getting really close to hitting all of those benchmarks. And we were recently like ranked based on those benchmarks and others, number 12 in the nation as a residential property management company on a top 100 list. And we were the only Virginia firm to make it on the top 100. But the reason that is because we set our standard as what the top companies are doing in the nation. And then when our team falls short of that, just barely, when they fall short of some of those metrics and they're stressing and they're like, man, and they're freaking out because they want to hit the KPIs, and they're so hard on themselves because they missed it by 1% or something like that. I look at them and I'll pull them into a 1-to-1 or something. And I'll say, hey, look, this is the benchmark for the top performing property management companies in the nation. If you're a little bit off, this is still what we're trying to hit. But if you're a little bit off, you're doing better than 90% of the rest of the companies in the nation. And I'm like, so let's keep going for this benchmark. This benchmark isn't changing, but like we're going to get as close to that as we can. And we get very close to that because that's the expectation. And so in your position, you could, one, hire the right people, get the people that the right values and mindset on your team, but set the benchmarks to the best you think they reasonably can be. And then that's the standard and you hold the line there, but then you also give them some grace when they barely fall short. And that's what Rocio, when she's like, if they do it 80%, that's essentially what she's saying. Her standard is incredibly high. But like if they fall at 80%, they're probably doing better than 90% of anyone else who's doing it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
that's
so
fair.
you can give them some grace
it's like
that
a curve
way.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, you just got, and then you realize that what they could do at 90% or 10 employees can do at 90% is way better than you'll ever be able to do at that size at you trying to do everything. So it's just, you can make a bigger impact. You can impact the community more. You can impact your family more, your friends, your network. And so why would you rob your family, your friends, your network, the community of your potential by not allowing your employees to work at 90%?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a really good point. I guess it gives me some peace because we're kind of going in that direction. We hire differently. Rocio hires differently than I do. And for my assistant, she's my first. Everybody else has always been like construction, or everybody else has been like, this is a little bit more rough around the edges, right? But this is my first like proper assistant. And she came on maybe about a month and a half ago. And the way that I was able to get her was in a very Alex Hormozy kind of way of like, look, if you're going to come on board, if you're interested at all, you're going to eat shit. Like, it's going to be hard. It's 7 days a week. Like, the expectation is 10, 12-hour days. Like, there is no pause. But at the same time, it's like, you're going to be exposed to so much. I'm going to teach you so much. But, like, consider it, because I come from public accounting. There's a saying in public accounting where it's like, what you're going to learn in 5 years in private accounting, you'll learn in 1.5 to 2 years in public accounting, because you'll be exposed to so much. So I kind of took that mindset and mentality into the field, into like hiring for me. So what I've noticed is like I did that with her, and she's great. Love her, right? And now I'm starting to have other guys that are wanting to come on, and it's coming from that same energy of like, unless you're a dog and you're gonna come in here and crush, no bars, like sunrise, sunset, like not until the job is done. Like you can leave, but you're not going to meet the expectations that I have of you and you of yourself, right? And once they have that bar for themselves, and now that's all theory. I haven't applied it yet, but these are the conversations I'm having, and I have one guy starting in like April 3rd, and another guy starting shortly after that. But that's how in a way kind of like recruited them.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that it's very similar to what you're saying.
Man, the only thing I would add, that is perfect. So every job offer that I send out, it says you don't want to work here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to dissuade them from working here. And I'm like, hey, look, we think you'd be a good fit, but I honestly think you should look at other options. Like, I don't know that you'd want to work. We change all the time. There's always change. There's always improvement. We're never settling. There's a lot of work. The second we get complacent, like we're out of bounds. Like we need to always be slightly uncomfortable. This is a very hard industry to work in to begin with. You might want to be sure that like this aligns with what you want to do for the next X amount of years before you accept this position, because if you're not down with that, like we would rather you go somewhere else. Yeah. And so I try to like, I do all the selling and we do the interview and we do everything. And then right when I present the offer, I'm like, you probably don't want to do this. Yeah. And so it's the exact same thing. But, and this is the kicker, is like, it's always followed by what would happen if they did. So you don't want to do this. But if you do, I think this is probably what we could build together, but you have to go through this first. Yeah. And so what that leaves you with is you're clearly setting the expectation that this is going to be very challenging. Yeah. We say like champions love adversity. Like if you're a champion, you need to look for like the hard thing so that you could just tackle it and keep going, right? If you're trying to avoid the hard thing, you're not a champion. Like it's not it. So we say we welcome adversity, and obviously we try to mitigate it and stuff like that. Sure. You know, but when it happens, we face it and we're excited to find a solution, right? Yeah. And so we will dissuade people when hiring because of this tactic. I've had, and largely this comes from kind of a startup not having any money to pay people. But in the beginning, I've had a number of people that are experienced, that are getting paid well, to take a pay cut to come to Peak, because they were like, it's hard, it's challenging, but what is that reward going to look like if they can help us as a team get through this, whatever we're facing? And they come here, and then we've had some people quite literally double their salary in a few years because they took that risk and they believed in that, and they put in that effort and that work first. But I'm very much a big fan of saying, and I learned this from other people, but it was like, don't take this job. Like, this is going to be very difficult. You probably don't want to do this. In fact, find any reason not to do this before you accept it. But if you do it and you're willing to go through this, this is what will be on the other side.
Yeah, I love that, because it's similar to like the energy that we're trying to bring, because we started small. I mean, really, we didn't really start hiring. We started hiring in May 2 years ago, so 24 was like our first official hire. Like, we had tried, and it was like a half-hearted attempt. But 2 years ago was like our first proper W-2 employee, and then it's been growing since. Awesome. And the changes that we've seen, because we put in a lot into our team for the same reason as you, like, you can't expect a lot from your team without you putting into them, for right? Sure. Yeah. And like, it's reciprocal, and then the world gets better because of it, period. Right. So we took that same energy and we've poured into our team, and their lives have completely changed. And obviously they have control over, like, you know, in 5 years it might be completely different. But our objective is, like, if you want to retire yourself, there is no reason why you shouldn't see the path to be able to have your own rentals. If you want to, you know, be a mom, a stay-at-home mom, but then you still have income because you've sharpened up some skill sets where now you can make whatever the thing is. Our objective is to change your life enough that you want to commit to this for as long as you want. Now, the other side of the coin of that, the cold side of the pillow, is like, then all these people on the outside are like, whoa, this person is completely different from a year ago. This person is completely different from 2 years ago, etc. And now they want to be part of the team, right? Because they know how much we're pouring in. And once they come in, it's an exponential growth for sure. And I could definitely see, I mean, with you, it's been a phenomenal growth to see it all the way through, and to have a team that driven and growing that fast and be top, what did you say, 5% of the nation? Like, that's not by accident. Right. You know, it's the team and it's you leading the culture of it. So we're just trying to do something similar. Obviously, it's not a property management company. It's just kind of like a family business almost, right, with a lot of different branches. But I think that's the only way to really grow and be able to step out and keep the integrity of the culture of the business that you're so proud to have started and like keep alive. Because we're not in it for a sale. Right. Like, we're not in it to like build this thing and then we'll sell the portfolio and then we'll go hit the beach. No, it's a pride thing that, you know, we've built up. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or bad thing, but like, we have so much pride in what we're building that we want them to be proud of what they're building with us and also for themselves.
Right.
So you should always feel like they're growing alongside us the entire time.
It sounds like you're doing it exactly right. I mean, the culture that you're building and the fact there's so many employers are like golden handcuffs. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
But you're like, how can we better their lives and allow them or help them find generational wealth themselves? And that is the absolute best thing you can do, because a lot of people would think, well, then they're just going to leave you. Who cares? Like, and the thing is if you're providing such a great experience to them in changing their life, they're going to want to support you even more.
Exactly.
And now regardless of generational wealth or having all this passive income, which we know it takes years to build, right? But like, regardless of having that, like that life that you've impacted and that family that you've impacted and that difference you've made and the community that you're building is incredible. Do you guys have like a mission or goals with your company? Because it sounds like you guys are very driven towards impact.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys have a specific, like, not to put you on the spot, but like a specific vision or goal for what you guys are building?
No, I mean, we hired a marketing company to like come up with all that, and we have a tagline or whatever. But like the mission, I don't think I remember it, if I'm honest. But you're right. You hit it on the head. It is about making an impact. It's about making an impact with our tenants, because we don't want them to have bad experiences. Right. It's an impact within our communities. So we host a bunch of different events, both in English and then also exclusively in Spanish, because my wife and I are both Spanish. An impact with the majority of our team is less than 24 years old. It's not even a big team, but 20% of them own their first rental at less than 24 years old. So like, awesome. That's, to your point, it is making an impact because we want to change your family tree. Yeah. It's almost like, how do we completely how do we have you see in 4D? Right? Like you live in this matrix, right? You live in 3D. How do we mess that up for you? How do we screw with that and make it 4D so that if you do leave us, your world will never change? Right. And we don't live out of that scarcity mindset. Right. You're right. 100%. Like, don't work for us. Oh, you will work for us? Great. We're going to show you the 4D kind of world, and if you still leave, fantastic. I'm sure you'll leave, and just like my old partner, just like a bunch of people, they'll go and like have a completely different life, and hopefully they still have a positive tone on the impact that we've made, and then they go and have a positive impact and have the butterfly effect, right? So like, we don't care if you leave, fantastic. But in order to get through is going to be the task. Yeah. Once you get through, great. But once you leave, hopefully just continue to spread it.
And they'll leave in a much better place than where they started. Yeah. Like with much more knowledge and tools and resources and network and everything. I often like think about my father, who his entire life, no one had ever spoken to him, or he'd never seen the writing on the wall for financial independence or freedom or like anything about any financial savviness or investments or anything like that until he was around 70 years old. And for you guys to be taking people who are in their late teens, early 20s and teaching them this stuff, it empowers them for the rest of their life to have that at their fingertips if they choose. They don't have to take it, but like if they choose it. Whereas like people like my dad, he was never open to that world until he was 70. Now he's made the best of it since then, for sure. Yeah. But I think in a sense, I feel like he was somewhat, now he's the last person who would blame anyone else or make excuses or anything. But I think in a sense, I feel like he has some feeling that he was robbed of X number of years of his life because he didn't see that when he was younger and be able to take advantage of that and create a better life for himself and his family and things like that. I just really appreciate people that have that abundance mindset and are willing to take in younger people and help show them the way and at least let them know that that's out there, even if you're not out there buying deals with them, which you probably are, but at least like referring the book to them and putting the right books in front of them and the right podcasts and the right information so that they can at least absorb it if they want, if it's the right time in their life or they have the right risk tolerance or the right goals or strategies. But it is really important to have people like you in communities that are willing to go out of your way to do that for people.
Some people just don't have that risk tolerance, right? And they don't want to have the rentals. They don't want to, because it is hard, especially if you're a part of our team. I'm sure just like here, like you probably get the nasty phone calls. And you probably get there's definitely some challenges in owning rentals or managing rentals or whatever. And not everybody is built for that. But if you do want it, it's here.
Yeah.
Like, at least you'll get on training wheels the exposure of like, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? Do I have the personality skill set for it or not? And you can make that decision. And if you do, we get deal flow. Like, I'll help you run the numbers. We'll get you on. There's plenty of lenders. Your dad's one of them that we'll have them talk to. And if they want to do it, fantastic.
What would you say for someone who wants to start out today in real estate investing? What would you say their first move should be?
I would say just go to as many networking events as you can. Now, I'll put a caveat on that because there are a lot of analysis paralysis situations that happen. So I would say go to as many networking events as you can. Find yourself almost like a buddy or two that you can like.
I noticed you avoided saying mentor.
It's interesting you point that out. Yeah, I don't say mentor a whole lot.
I say just build relationships, find your friends. Because mentor sort of seems like, hey, can you be my mentor? And it's something formal. And that's kind of weird to me. Like, just go make friends. And you're kind of like your mentors, whether they're your age or younger or older or whatever, or have done a deal or not. Everyone in a sense that I can learn from is sort of a mentor. But you know, like and that's usually when everyone says mentor, but you said find a friend. Yeah. Which I don't know. I just want to
just go make a friend. I mean, so we host this networking event in Spanish, and I've had people approach me and be like, hey, can I just pay you to do the thing? Can you be my mentor? And I'm like, no, I was like, if you need me, call me. If you want to show up to the office, just text me. We'll set up a time and you can come in and we'll chat about it. If you're ever in a situation, let me know. I'll help you through it. But you're right. You like to use the word mentor because I don't want anybody looking at me like I'm the guy that knows the whole thing.
Right.
It's like I don't. I'm trying to figure it out just like you. I'm here to help you.
Right.
And I'll probably help you more so as just a friend than like in an exchange for X. Right. No, I don't like those kind of relationships. But show up to as many networking events as you can. Make some good friends. Attach yourself to one or two solid people that have your positive interests in mind, and they will guide you through. I mean, indirectly, I've made a few friends, especially here in Richmond. There's this real estate investing networking group, Ring, that hosts its events, and there'll be new people that'll approach me. We'll be texting back and forth, and then they'll send me a deal. I'm like, dude, that's actually a pretty decent deal. And they're like, okay. They'll go ahead and buy it. It's like I encourage you kind of, but I didn't put every tool in front of you. Right. They go and do it, and sometimes they run into issues, then they text me again or they call me, we figure it out. So if you go to these networking events, you surround yourself by good people, and then you actually have to like take the leap. Right. You actually have to take the leap and just do it. Now, it's calculated, right? Make sure you have the money. Like, no one's going to let you do a bad deal. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. There's some lenders, there's some wholesalers, there's some people that might. But if you're associated with or connected to good people that are in the industry, have done deals, and you run it past them, hey, should I borrow from? Should I buy this deal? They'll guide you. They're not going to mislead you. We have a really good community here in Richmond. They'll point you in the right direction, and just go for it. You're going to learn a lesson, or you're going to earn some money. One of the two.
Tuition, you learn a lesson. If you can get out, break even, and not pay for tuition, that's awesome. Yeah. Like, otherwise, you need to pay money. And
exactly.
That's what it is. That was well said. I mean, that was perfectly said. And I would say that the common theme on this podcast is building relationships and then taking action. Because there's a lot of people that Ring is an awesome meetup group, and I talk about it often on this podcast as well. Same with the Deal Maker group, et cetera. But and Rich has been on this podcast. Rich Lennon, he was probably like one of the first 10 guests. I don't remember the episode name, but the common thread is taking action. There are people that you will see at some meetup groups that are like, and you naturally ask like, hey, so what do you invest around here? What do you do? Like, what kind of stuff do you get into, right? And you might see someone that says like, no, I haven't done anything yet. I'm still doing some research and just kind of getting to know what I'm doing. And then you go back to the same meetup 3 years later, you see the same person sitting in the same seat, and you ask them saying, hey, good to see you again. What kind of deal, what are you doing? What have you been up to? And they're like, yeah, I'm still just trying to learn. I haven't found anything yet. And I typically say, like, if you found a deal in the first 3 months, good for you, because that's tough, right?
Yeah.
That is, you were moving at that point.
Yeah.
If you find it in like 6 to 12 months, that might be on par with like a good building relationships and networks and stuff for your first deal, right? And that may or may not make money. It just is what it is. If it's been over a year and you haven't bought anything yet, from like when you're pretty comfortably like looking, like it might be analysis paralysis, and you might need to look internally, or you might need to reevaluate what rooms you're in and like what relationships you have. But if you're in more than one room, like that's also, you might want to look internally at yourself. So, but the way you said that is perfect. Like, show up to the group, make friends, run your deal past other people, numerous people. And again, like, I don't think most people would not intentionally mislead or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I also hear people say that if they tell you it's a bad deal, it probably is. Don't think that your ego is like, don't let your ego get in the way, or your ambition or eagerness get in the way of their advice. If they've been doing it for 10 years and they're telling you not to buy this house, they probably don't just want to see you fail. They probably are just trying to look out for you. So don't let emotions get in the way. But yeah, you can run your deals past them. They generally will not do your due diligence for you, but they'll give you a heads up on, give you some feedback and opinions. And now you're one of those people that's doing that for other people, which is pretty cool. What are your goals over the next 3 years? Like, where do you guys see yourselves? What are you guys going to get into?
So the big pivot since April of last year, we started a team doing on-market stuff. So my investing journey will continue. It'll slow down the pace. The market has completely changed, but I still plan on buying, I would say, at least 5 to 10 a year, something like that is awesome. My hope. Just continue to build on that. So continue to build the property management side for our own rentals, and then really build out the agency on market stuff. There's a sense of me that, given how long we've kind of been on a lockdown of like rates and all that, I think there will be a leak, which I think is already happening. People are getting out. The rates were low. Yeah, obviously the war is kind of changing things a little bit. But if anything, that's going to like suppress it even more. So then the soda can pop is going to be even bigger later, right? So like, I think that will come. We're already kind of building momentum like that. I think a lot of people are being pressured into it. But we want to build that out for the next maybe 3 to 5 years, and probably start to see our way, not necessarily out of the industry, but like more as a supporting role. Or
build the team, support the team, right?
Exactly.
And make sure the culture and the values stay intact, and you're good to go. Are you still doing like burrs at this point, or are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm still doing burrs. I did one recently. I'm buying another one in April. So like, we're still doing burrs. Cool. They're not perfect burrs. Sometimes we'll have to leave a little bit of money in them.
You're not pulling all kinds of cash out.
Yeah, definitely not. Some of them are barely like cash flowing. They're just in good areas, and I'll be in a good equity position. So I'm like, all right, I'll just do that. But that's definitely not the strategy for everybody, especially not for new people. But yeah, we're still doing burrs.
Got it. What is the name of the real estate team that you're building?
Pilar and Co.
Okay.
Yep. So it's like Pillar, but in Spanish, Pilar and Co. A couple connections there. My wife's middle name is Rocio del Pilar, so of the pillar. Okay. And it's also a pillar, stability, strength, whatever. Cool. So Pillar and Co. And we're down in Chaco Bottom.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah. How can people find you, or networking events that you guys had? Anything you want to shout out? How can people get involved with some of the stuff that you're doing? So
I'm on Instagram as the Carlos Salazar. Facebook is Carlos Salazar. I'll be wearing a vest just like the one that you see me in now. I post primarily acquisitions, lifestyle stuff. Just, I don't know. I really feel like I don't have a job. I just kind of like do real estate stuff. Rocio is Roro something. Find me and then you'll find her. But she posts more agency stuff. Like, she's really found her groove.
She's got some awesome content.
She's been putting a lot of good stuff lately. So Roro something is her Instagram.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, and Rocio Espericueta is her full name on Facebook. But she posts primarily like agency stuff. Cool. And then what we've done is we've married the two. We've married agency with the off-market stuff, and we're all under one office, one building in Chaco Bottom. It's a dope, like almost 200-year-old mansion.
That's awesome.
Down there that we bought. So it's super cool. We don't plan on going anywhere, so we'll be there for a while.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. It's been really cool to see what you guys are building. You mentioned a networking event?
Yeah, so Rocio runs a Ring Latino, so it's real estate investing networking group, but it's in Spanish. And occasionally we'll go out and we'll do network speaking events or engagements. But the real estate investing networking group meets up. It's in Spanish exclusively. You're welcome to show up if you speak English and with a translator. But it's the third Wednesday at La Hacienda in Midlothian.
Awesome.
And it runs for about 3 hours, and we generally have about 30 to 40 people show up. That's consistently. Awesome. And our objective there is really just to give back. So give an opportunity to these usually contractors or people that feel like investing is very taboo and people don't talk about it, people don't share information. But we want to take the energy that we found at Ring and what Rich has provided and that whole team has provided, but bring that to the Spanish community because it's a different cultural thing.
Right.
So share all of that in Ring Latino and show them how to invest. How do you run numbers? How do you keep a rental? How does it make sense? How do you underwrite a tenant? How do you underwrite a deal? Like all funding, how do you, like, what is that? Because money is so taboo in the Spanish community. So like going through all of that. And then there's now a pretty decent community because we've been doing it for almost 2 years now. And a lot of them have gone from contractors to flippers to now holding rentals. And like now they're starting to help each other out. It's like, so it's super cool to see. And we've been doing it for about 2 years. And our plan is to continue to do some sort of version of that, maybe grow it, maybe kind of change it up a little bit. But we've definitely seen an impact on the Spanish community. We love it.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
I could imagine that's really fulfilling too, to give back too.
Very
That's
much.
incredible. Any final thoughts? Anything we haven't covered or get up to speed on?
No, man, just super grateful to be part of a community. And I'm not sure if like it's like this in most cities, but the more you pour into your community, whether it's the investing side or otherwise, the more you'll get in return. So just, I don't know, be a giver. It's something I've been working on for a while because usually I was the one that was just trying to get through and get, but trying to switch that around and just be more of a giver. And I don't know, the satisfaction of that. And I realize I can hear or the clicking or somebody's, cogs turning. Mm-hmm. I'm not in a position to give at the moment is sometimes the answer that I get from some people. You are. Like, you may not feel like you're at the position where you need to be, but you're definitely a lot more accomplished than Stephen Glover from like a year ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. You know what I mean? Yep. Same thing with us, Rocio and I. Same thing with a lot of people that have just done like one deal. Dude, you're well ahead of like 99% of the people out there that are just like, one day I'll have a rental, and they just never do. Most people don't even own a home, right?
Yep.
So I would just say give as much as you can, and you'll, whether you believe or you don't, like you'll get in return in this world or another, however you want to see it. But just be a giver. Don't believe in scarcity. That doesn't exist. It's all in your head. So that's my final thought. Just be a giver.
I think we are unique in the Central Virginia community, investing community, that a lot of people do have that abundance mindset. And I think it's from some certain like group leaders that are more OGs that have kind of instilled that on the newer generations, which we are so blessed to have in our community to learn from, but also to kind of receive that culture. And then it's up to us to kind of pass the torch to the next generation, which is exactly what you're doing, and to different communities, to the Latino community as well. It's incredible what you and your wife are doing, what you're building, the team that you're building, the culture that you're instilling, and what you're doing for our community. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It was awesome getting to hear it and talking to you.
Yeah, I know. I shared.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's awesome. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Man.
Thank you for having me.